So this week we're talking about a pretty intense subject. Over the last few months, we've seen all sorts of news articles on my social media, from 70 Christians being beheaded in the DRC by ISIS-associated militant forces. And yeah, we wanted to explore the different ways that the media avoid reporting on certain things like this, but also not just Christian events or things happening or people being beheaded, but also the wider media and why they don't report on some of these events. Houses have been looted and burnt, schools have been relocated, churches and health facilities have closed, and a lot of these people in Africa and also other parts of the world are being persecuted for their faith. And there's also been, if you look over time, different genocides, different things that have occurred over time in the last 20 years. For example, the Darfur genocide in Sudan, where there's estimated between 300,000 to 400,000 deaths. And then in Myanmar, the genocide that happened there with 25,000 deaths and 700,000 people being displaced. And even more recently, in 2020 to 2022, in Ethiopia, there's been hundreds of thousands of people dying. And in researching this video, I'd never come across these wars, or maybe would have heard on the Sudan one here or there, but hadn't really heard of it, and it made me question why are these wars not being talked about? We hear a lot about other wars, but is there a reason why these wars aren't being reported on? Is there a reason why it doesn't pop up on my phone like Sky News or BBC? What is it? We want to dig in a bit deeper into that and see what is going on really in these places. So I'll start off with why. Why do you think some of these wars aren't really reported on or don't really touch the news circle, or you don't see it on your Instagram and stuff? It's a bit of a hard one to answer, but
it's a difficult one. But on the basis level, media companies and things like that, at the end of the day, they're doing it to get clicks, they're doing it to generate revenue, they're doing it to hit KPIs, they're doing it to hit numbers, really.
Yeah.
So they'll probably just feed whatever gets the most clicks, whatever gets the most views, whatever gets the most comments and likes to a point when it comes to this topic.
Do you think there's ever more of a behind the scenes agenda? I know it's a little bit conspiracy to go into this, but do you think there's more of a political or economic interest behind some of this? So, for example, I don't know, the billions of dollars that have been put into Ukraine or other wars, compared to maybe another war in Sudan where there isn't as much funding going into it. Do you think that maybe there's that sort of side to it as well, where people making money off it?
Yeah, I think there's always more going on than people make out. Do you know what I mean? There's definitely more going on than people make out. And it's one of those things that never shock you.
No.
It would never shock you that certain wars go on longer than they should do because someone who makes certain decisions is making money off of it, or generating time or anything. Is generating a gain from it. Because even if you take the mass into consideration, usually the people making the decisions, unfortunately, aren't taking that into consideration, because they're not taking all the Ukrainian citizens into consideration. They will be, but I mean, on a general, they'll be taking into consideration the time, the cost, what they could make off of it.
Yeah.
The utilities that they're using.
Well, it might be the US military contractors, people making AKs or grenades or tanks and stuff. They'll be okay, we'll sell 100 of these to Ukraine, or sell all these to Israel or other countries, and they're gonna make a huge amount of money from it. Or in the news, the contractor might be saying, "Oh, can we make as much publicity about this as possible? So when this government spends this money, it's for a moral cause in a sense." And obviously
ticks a box.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not against helping out other countries in war, right? But I think there's another side to it, because when you think about how selective
it's leverage as well.
It is. Yeah.
Some people could use it as leverage against another company. Yeah. And, like you said, in political arguments, or we help you out here, help us out here. There's all those kind of things that go on. It's negotiation tactics.
Yeah.
To a point it could be used for that.
Yeah.
That's conspiracy-esque.
Yeah, it is. Today's quite conspiracy theory video, but what do you think about the media Do you mainly watch stuff on TV or do you use your phone? Like,
definitely phone. How do you get your news? Definitely phone. Phone with 90% of the media that I get, like phone and Netflix.
Yeah.
Like streaming platforms, it's never like live TV, BBC News. Like,
I feel like our generation's maybe like more of an exception to like the past, because I think now we mainly get Instagram like videos coming up on feeds, or like I'm Just Bait or other things that report on the news.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe in the past it's been more like TV, Sky News, BBC, those sort of places.
I think it's broader now, but it also hits like a wider audience.
Yeah.
So even though like you could get different perspectives a lot more, it is like so broad that it can almost seem smaller now than it did back in the day.
Yeah.
Because at least back in the day, all you were hearing was one opinion. You didn't hear anyone else's opinion.
Well, that's the thing. Like, say, for example, there's a really sad post on Instagram by like a news account, and it's got like the number of deaths in Palestine, or like all the people that have been bombed. And like in the comments section, immediately you've got thousands of, maybe hundreds of thousands, if it's a viral post, of people expressing their opinion on it and having debate. Whereas in the past, like you just watch the news and you just maybe chatted to your family or whoever you're watching it with.
Because the initial emotion, you wouldn't have anything to express to. So if you were sat watching BBC News, like when you got home from school like 4 PM, and it popped up that like a certain amount of people had died, and they just talked about it, you'd feel empathetic and you'd feel sad.
We're all human
like
beings,
5 minutes, And you'd be like, oh, mum, that's sad, innit? And then that's it. You've got nowhere to express it. So within like an hour or so, you probably don't even think about it. You're probably not.
Yeah.
But then because of everyone can put the 2 cents in now, it festers on a bit longer.
Yeah. And I think it divides us more, because there's always going to be 2 sides to it, and there'll be other information that people might not know, or just other context and stuff. But I do think it is a bit of a shame that there is all these things going on outside of the main wars that get reported on. Like I pulled up, like when we were prepping for the video, I pulled up this Google Trends graph that shows basically the amount of search volume and the amount of interest in a particular topic over time. I'll just pull it up quickly. So yeah, this graph here will come up on the screen, but basically it's the last 5 years and it shows interest over time. So how many people searched on YouTube or Google or different search engines or consumed content around these topics. And obviously the Palestine one's really high, when that's like valid. A lot of people have died in that, and but it's also to point out like the other wars and genocides that have happened. It's crazy how those haven't been reported on.
It's like, it's not diminishing the things that are getting published on, because obviously people are getting hurt. Like no one wants to see that, but it's why it's so ones that like how come these aren't being reported on at all in comparison.
And
what's interesting.
If I remove the Palestine stuff, obviously Ukraine's still in there, but even then it's like you can hardly even see the other two. And if you look at the number of deaths, the Ukraine war is different. I think there've been like a considerable amount more deaths in that war from like the military and stuff. I think I even saw it might have been close to 1 million people have died in the Ukraine war.
Wow, that's insane.
But the genocides and like the stuff that's happened in Gaza is all pretty similar numbers.
Hundreds of thousands, isn't it? And it's still going on to this day.
Yeah. But when you look at like, for example, in Nigeria, I saw when I was researching that since 2000, 62,000 people, Nigerian Christians, have been killed for what they believe in Nigeria since 2000. And in the same period, they've been about the same in Palestine. But I've never really heard of the Nigerian people that are being murdered over there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just makes me like question, like, why have I not? Is there
like think that's like a West perspective though, like a Western perspective that we don't get media coverage of anywhere now apart from the West, and then now like the East has become quite a big thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the last like 30 years has become quite a big thing because of like political reasons, because of even like economical reasons, because of I don't know, even like entertainment reasons, like all the boxing, the sports.
Yeah.
They do a lot there now. So it's more interested and more beneficial for the West to care about it and to be involved in it than it once was. And like a place like Africa, like it's not necessarily beneficial for Western media and Western society in a way. to be involved with that.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think I don't know too much context around the Darfur or Sudan genocides and those things, so I don't know too much about that. But with the Gaza conflict, it's definitely driven by like religion as well, and the Jewish versus Muslim factor to it has been going on for hundreds of years. Like if you go across history, it's been going on for thousands of years. So it's like there's so much context and stuff that's gone on over time that I think a lot of people have interest in what's going on in that part of the world.
But I also think that instantly divides. Something like these other two, like genocides, for example, in Africa. Is that going to divide the mass?
There's probably less people that have a camp that they would sound savage, but they're interested in following. Like, as in, there might be people that are like Jewish that live in Europe or in the US.
So people have less of an opinion on it.
Yeah.
So that's why. Do you know what I mean? Like, it all comes back to people's engagement in a way.
It is true.
Which is sad.
I guess it makes sense, like why they're not covered as much. But to me, and what I believe anyway is that
doesn't seem morally right, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Like when you boil it down.
Yeah. So ultimately, with all these things in mind, like what do we actually do? Like honestly, stuff's happening all the time. Like this genocide's happening, the war in Ukraine, in Palestine, all that stuff. How do we actually trust what we see online, or like how do we keep following all of that stuff? Like, do you think that we should all make sure that we research stuff, or should we like more than just about the human life, but like the wider context of it? Like, how do you find that? Like, do you just see stuff, go past it, or do you engage with it? Do you think?
I think it definitely desensitizes as well.
Yeah.
But I also think, going back to like the broadness, kind of not made to know everything about the whole world.
It's true.
So like we're not really necessarily made to know what's going on in Africa. You kind of
no.
Like if everyone kind of focused on where they're from or where like their demographic.
Yeah.
It would seem a lot less daunting. Because realistically, like what can we do about something that's going on in a different continent? Realistically, like nothing. You can't do anything.
And if you do, it's just like virtue signaling in a way.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'll put some on my story.
Yeah.
And like no one's gonna see it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
to some degree, like this video, you could say, it's virtue signaling for things, but I think like we wanted to make this video more to like talk about the wider narrative of it, and maybe like just keeping like more of an eye on like what we consume, and like trying to understand it in a different way, and not be like one of those people that's easy to like jump something, but like slow to think, like faster thing and slow to respond.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Like go behind
and
research things instead of doing like looking at things on face value. Because I was listening to something recently, and it's like so true. Like nowadays, because it's so broad and because of social media, we seem to know a lot about little.
Yeah,
but we don't know a lot about. Not a lot. Sorry, we know a little about a lot, but not a lot about a little.
Yeah.
So we know loads of stuff about lots of random little things, but we don't actually know the depth of them.
Yeah.
And like people don't seem to know the depth of really anything. So it's all just shallow chatter from the majority of people.
Well, I've heard the phrase like an echo chamber, where if you consume, like especially with the algorithm-driven content now, like on feeds, you're always going to consume what you like and what you comment on, and like what you search. So if you just search something about a certain war in this context, you're going to keep seeing that constantly, and it just like reinforces or like hardens like your view on that topic.
Things,
so I think it's just like to be wary of that. Like I think it's easy, everyone's guilty of that, or like not even guilty, but like it's just happens, isn't it? Like
that's
how the algorithm works.
I mean, it comes back to being aware, doesn't it? Really,
yeah.
It comes back to being aware and being a bit more gracious.
Yeah,
like everyone's a little bit more gracious with each topic. I've decided if I want to comment on this, I'll care to make such big claims on certain things, or like, all right, I'm going to do a little bit of research, because there's always two sides to each kind of story.
Yeah, and even I mean, for myself, like I know it's different for a lot of people, but I also get like a lot of peace from like what I believe more spiritually, and like I'm a Christian, so when I receive all this information, like I have that peace, like wider peace around my life. So even though this is going on or that's going on, you're seeing all these thousands of people dying. Like for my own life, like what's going on, like I feel like a more peace around it and that like spiritual side to my life. So I would definitely like seek that if you're in that place. But yeah, now today was a bit of a different one. How did you find it?
Like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let us know in the comments like what you thought about this topic. If you like the video, if you like us talking about this sort of thing, like a bit more like conspiracy around like different governments or what's going on.
We should do like a conspiracy theory tier list.
Tier list, yeah, definitely.
Like different conspiracies and like talk about them. That'd be cool.
If you want to see that, like the video, and yeah, like send us some topics or like recommend us stuff to react to. But yeah, catch you in the next video.